You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to Talking Ted. This week, episode 3, Ejectile Dysfunction. You know, the one where Johnny and Ted have to steal a VCR because they have ejectile dysfunction. You get it, Mike? I'm Jessica Lynn Verdi.
And I am Mike Richards. Welcome to Bear Fight Presents Talking Ted. What you drinking today, Jess?
You know, this is my old fashioned, the good old. Well, actually, we should name this. What is whiskey and a bunch of ice?
That is just whiskey on the rocks. Whiskey on ice.
But can we call it like the Jessica?
We can call
like
it the Jess.
The Jess special.
Yeah, that's right.
I have a salad named after me in Chatsworth, California, so I might as well have a drink now.
Is this a place that you were once employed, or?
It is, yeah. And if you were to talk to a boss, he would say it was named after his daughter, but
No,
I invented the salad. It is false. It is actually. I invented the salad. So now so whiskey on the rocks is henceforth to be known as the Jessica.
Well, I dug a little bit deeper today. I went into an old recipe that I had once heard of and sort of explored into it a little bit. This is called a New York sour. And it is essentially a whiskey sour. So it looks
gorgeous, Mike.
Yeah, it's a couple of ounces of Bear Fight whiskey with lemon juice, or alternatively, you could use sour mix, a little bit of simple syrup. And again, I made this simple syrup off of the Bear Fight whiskey website, which is a little bit of white sugar, a little bit of brown sugar, some vanilla extract. And you mix that up, bring it to a very low simmer, and that just kind of mixes all the ingredients nicely. I made about 6 ounces of that at the beginning of this venture, and I am almost out.
Wow. Okay, we'll share the recipe in the liner notes of this episode. So that
and then you shake all that up, and you pour it in, and then you just use a spoon to gently layer it recommends a sweet red wine. And my wife just so happened to pick up a locally sourced bottle of sweet red wine that fit the bill, and it's delicious. So right now I'm sipping it, and it just tastes like a whiskey sour. I mean, I say just, but it tastes like a fantastic whiskey sour. As I get deeper and deeper into this, that wine will mix into it more and more and more, and it'll kind of add to and enhance the flavor.
This is bonkers. This sounds delicious. It
is. Yeah.
Apparently there was a whiskey sour make-off at my boyfriend's Thanksgiving festivities with his family, because that's what the grandmother drank. But apparently she drank orange juice and whiskey. Is that still technically a sour? Am I correct in remembering that?
So I was kind of famous, and we've talked about it several times now, that I do really feel like orange juice can do no wrong. It's like that's your best friend as a bartender. So a Long Island iced tea, which does not, have orange juice in the recipe, just a little shake of orange juice really kind of brings out the citrus of the sour mix, I guess. I do the same thing with whiskey sours, amaretto stone sours, all of those things. Just a little bit of orange juice, shaken into the drink. Just sort of really kind of lets it level up.
I fully believe that. I do the same thing with my cranberry sauce. I use orange juice, and then I'll use a little bit of lemon to level it up. So listen, citrus can do no wrong unless you're allergic to citrus. Mike, how comfortable do you feel talking about a junior in high school trying to watch a porno today?
It's either going to be creepy or tragic, Jess. those are the only choices. Thankfully, Max is not
of age.
Yeah, not, a junior in high school age. And Ted, even though technically he's 8, he's got all the jadedness and world experience of somebody in their early 30s, I would say.
I mean, so did Drew Barrymore when she was 8, so that's for good or for bad. So do you think my recap's going to be creepy or tragic?
I think your recap is going to be fantastic, and I imagine here's Jessica with the recap.
Yeah, wish me luck. Ted and Johnny hit the video rental shop wanting to get a porno?
Porno.
Porno, but cannot because they are both technically under 18. Technically. They ask Blair to do them a solid in which she underdelivers by renting them a film for adults.
Technically correct.
Technically correct. They solicit a savvy AV nerd from school to make them IDs, awkwardly remark that they have the same VCR, and acquire fake IDs, allowing them to subsequently acquire buku pornos. Just in time for Maddie and Susan to go on a date to a swanky restaurant, which I have to admit for a second, I thought it was a Fridays.
Well, it couldn't have been Red Lobster. Well, I guess it could have been in 1993.
It could have been.
Too soon?
Rip those cheddar biscuits. After deciding to go for creepy in lieu of a tragic porn viewing, they slip the tape into the VCR for something more comfortable, only for it to get stuck within moments. They have to solve the problem before Maddie finishes his word search at the restaurant, and thankfully they remember there's one at school. Susan, doing her best to make the most of the evening, is gifted a rusty nail by Maddie, who encourages her to complain about it in order to get a free meal and a helmet full of shrimp. She's disappointed to learn that the evening was only prompted by Maddie having a coupon for the restaurant, even though he actually didn't even have to use it. She lets Maddie go to bed. How's that sentence said? She lets Maddie go to bed. Yep.
To roll around and try to burp?
Yeah. There we go. And finds the porn in the VCR before the boys return home victorious with the VCR and a basketball championship. This prompts question as to whether Susan is able to fulfill Maddie's needs. Ted and Johnny realize Susan has found the porn and believe they can never show their face again. They leave their home that's practically falling apart. Blair takes the heat for the porno and finds the boys in the woods and welcomes them to come back home.
I'm just not going to say it anymore.
I don't think we can say porno any other way.
No.
Henceforth. A lot of Ubach has changed us for the better.
It has. I've got a friend who's from Wisconsin that every time, you ask him a question, he goes, no. It's just changed the way I think of that word forever.
No.
But yeah, I guess you don't introduce. First rule of writing is you don't introduce a VCR in Act 1 unless you're going to use that VCR in Act 3.
Chekhov's VCR.
That's it.
That's right. All right, we'll check off you later and see you on the other side after a brief word from us and our sponsors, where we talk about ejectile dysfunction.
Cheers, Jess.
Cheers, Mike.
Hey folks, we're here to talk to you about Bear Fight Whiskey, how much we've been enjoying it, and how you can enjoy it yourselves.
I'm a whiskey drinker through and through, and I think I have found my new favorite go-to in Bear Fight Whiskey. It's a little bit of scotch, it's a little bit of bourbon, it's a little bit of grape, and we want to extend a discount to you so you can sip right along with us.
Bear Fight Whiskey is an American single malt. It's one of the most awarded single malt whiskeys in the U.S. It's a simple recipe, it's a fantastic flavor, and it goes great with anything.
So head over to bearfightwhiskey.com, type in BF20 at checkout, and get yourself $20 off of shipping.
And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to the second half of Talking Ted, presented by Bear Fight Whiskey, where I'm sipping on, what I love about all this ice in the Jessica is that it opens up more elements of Bear Fight as I sip, as the ice melts. It really is a delightful, intricate, but such an approachable whiskey. And I'm telling everyone I know about it. So, and now I don't have the patience like you, Mike, to make a delicious cocktail.
Well, again, clinging to my youth. But I'm just kind of trying to run it through its paces. I've had it on ice. I've had it with a little bit of water. I've had it with soda. I've had it with, as an old fashioned, as a hot toddy. And now I've got, it just seems to be up to the task with whatever I throw at it. It just
cool.
It's amenable. It's adaptable. And it's delicious with everything I've thrown at it. So still haven't tried it with the Larry Nemeczek patented Dr. Pepper, but I will.
You know what?
Someday. I will.
This sounds like a job for Star Trek Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
This really does.
Yeah, we'll have to get some bottles delivered out there because I don't think I can get them through the TSA security checkpoint. Or maybe I can. I don't know.
Well, we won't. I was just going to say, I think you're missing your calling as a mixologist on YouTube, as well as an amazing host for this podcast here. So let's get into Ejectile Dysfunction. Such a fun title. And until you watch the episode, you're like, what is going to happen?
Yeah, I don't think we need to play the title game with this one.
No.
The VCR wouldn't eject properly. It was not functioning properly.
Premature ejaculation.
Ejectile dysfunction. And I think this was about 3 years before Bob Dole started peddling boner pills. So I don't know that was erectile dysfunction like in the pop culture zeitgeist in 1993.
I think quietly.
Yeah.
I think whomever experienced it did not then discuss it unless it was with a doctor.
Yeah, that is true. But you know what I liked about the boys in the beginning scene is that they had a fever, baby, and the only thing that was going to cure it was more dinosaurs.
It's so great. It's so excellent. I have a couple of friends who half of their personality is Jurassic Park. And so it's really, it really truly is. And it's really fun to just kind of relive like the impact that certain shows or movies have on us. And, not to spoilerize too much, but in the last episode, we get a little bit of what the impact of Aladdin was in that era.
Yeah.
So
we had
it's
Aladdin.
fun.
We've had the A-Team. We've had
That's right,
Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many good things. I think it might have been a couple of episodes ago where you were surprised that there wasn't a Family Guy-esque, mind scene, fantasy, if you will, a little bit of head space, and we got it on this one.
We got it, and it really I'm sure. Here's the thing: they must have felt what I felt was the urge to cut away because Seth's humor carries over. It is the underwriting for all this.
So
stuff.
Cutaway is the succinct way of what I just tried to describe.
That's what I would say.
Yeah,
I would never
right.
stop you. I would never stop you with the way you just
making up
describe
words.
it. Well, no. So I do think that's how they referred to it in the episode. I don't know if you've ever seen this, the South Park episode where they go hard on Family Guy, where they basically say a team of dolphins grab 3 balls and put it into a chute that tell the writers to write that scene for the cutaways. Basically saying that's how erroneous they are to the episode. At least this cutaway is absolutely derivative of what these two guys are going through.
It was, and what I loved also, I don't know if you noticed this, and maybe this was something I read into it, but it sounded to me like Seth voicing Ted, imitating a British accent, sounded an awful lot like Stewie.
I didn't get that. That's really. I'm gonna have to rewatch it.
I think if you watch it again, you may.
You may have ruined this scene for me. You know what the worst and best part about this scene is?
What's that?
Is it goes on way too long.
Oh yeah. No, that's the best part of a cutaway when you commit to it. They just go away. I thought there might be a lost. A wife who lost their child as a carryover from last week, but it was just passed away wife and estranged son.
He really does have this penchant for tragedy. I forgot that he makes up his backstory. It is wild.
So I think there's a lot of not only to industry insider stuff, which I can only imagine. I'm gonna. That kind of leads me to my next question for you. It seems like in last episode and this episode, they were both kind of feeding into, what's it like to be in an improv group, or what's it like to be acting with other actors and take notes from other actors, or take direction from a director. There seems to be a lot of, sort of industry insider, inside baseball nods and winks going on.
Oh yeah, the scene where in last week's episode, or that we covered My Two Dads, and the actor gives notes for how hot the mom came in. Is it so good?
It is good. Yeah, it just keeps getting better.
If for those of you that are just listening to the episode, that sigh was not at me describing something. It was at Mike taking a sip of his delicious concoction. No, that was actually a totally insider joke, which is sort of common knowledge. Like, you don't give first of all, he's in the wrong for noting her. Not just it's actually his mom. He's in the wrong for noting her. Mm-hmm. And the best part is that she's actually just really is the mom coming in hot. You know what I mean?
And then this week there was a what we're gonna do. You're gonna throw me out there and then critique me on how I do improv, because he was talking about you got to be more yes and.
Oh, that's exactly right. That is insider knowledge. Although, would you say yes and? How much did you know about yes and until you and I worked together?
Boy, I think that coincided, I think, with that sort of making its way into corporate speak.
There's a lot of corporate improv that is infiltrating, which I genuinely, a lot of people refer to improv as cultish, and they're not wrong, because it really is a way of life, a way of thinking, a way of existing. I've seen people change thanks to improv being introduced, especially in the corporate world. I'm sure there's times where being yes Andy isn't the most, maybe in a war room, probably not the most, right. Although I did just do an episode where I talked about Dr. Strangelove with our friends who are doing the filth or
film and films or film or filth. Yeah, Matt
Film
Luke.
or Filth. Yeah. I got to talk about that Dr. Strangelove. And there's a lot of interesting yes-anding and diplomacy at that war room table, though I know it is also fantasy. Just learning how to communicate and also like uphold someone's idea and not disparage them right away. There's a lot that falls under the yes and header. But yes, it's enjoyable when those moments happen that I can relate to. I think that's, you know what it is too? This is what I think. The writers can't help but be surrounded by actors or people that are using this language. And even on improv, in an improv stage, you're regurgitating what you're seeing out in the world. So they're regurgitating what they're seeing out in the world. So it's ubiquitous in that way, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there was that. There was the, I guess a director can't fix a bad script line. There was and then go back to last week, there was Johnny who was like, okay, we'll do one your way and then we'll try it my way. I mean, just all of that total inside baseball stuff.
You know what? I'm so glad that you're pulling that out, because it comes and goes in my brain. And that's what makes us such a good pair, I think, Mike, is that like you really help me remember funny parts of the show that I otherwise would have just let me pass by. Also, I don't know if anyone who's been watching this series with us talking about Ted has noticed just how chill I am while we're talking. The whiskey is just making me like, hey, bro, what's up?
It's it is very, very chill inducing. But we've always vibed anyway when we talk. But it's a good thing that I have things to bring up to you, because if you just left it up to me, I would just always pick whatever's grossest. That would be my
Jesus, you would.
I would not. I thought that was just such a bizarre line,
Whatever is grossest. I guess if you're gonna do it, go balls to the wall. I do actually have. No, actually, if I left it all up to you, I would never ask you a question, and I would never do the research. Is it too? You don't have to answer this, but what was your first porno experience?
Oh, I saw that question up there. I wasn't sure if that was for me or not. So as far as like, other than, a family member, not my dad.
Okay.
So
okay.
don't want to throw him in there.
It is your dad if you say it's not your dad.
No,
okay,
it's not. Had some magazines around the house.
Gotcha.
In their room that I would get into a little bit. But the first like movie porn, like VHS, we're going to rent one of these things.
Okay.
High school, probably a little younger than Maddie. A little younger than Johnny, a little older than Ted. I think it was.
I would hope.
I think I was probably 9th or 10th grade, if I remember right. And the parents were on vacation, and friends and I decided to go out and we're renting a porno. I think it was a porn, because if there's an article like a or the, it's a porno.
Mm-hmm.
Got that, and I want to say it was called like Inside Jennifer Wells. And I think people are going to have to do a Google search to see if that's
they'll
like
find it.
The actual name.
It'll be
yeah,
found.
it was horrifying.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was.
You were too young.
It was gross. I mean, it was gross.
It was too. You were too young.
But yeah, what was funny though was the whole like late fee thing and losing a tape, which I think we've all done, and like the actual consideration of I can rent it from another place and then return it to this one, and then I'll just keep doing that because it was really expensive to rent a VHS tape. Like in the like early to mid 80s, like you had to leave like $100 deposit.
No, you're lying.
No, I swear to you, I am not lying. It was like $100 deposit ish, and then
That's
you had
insanity.
to have it back. Within a couple of days, and then I think the rental fee on it was probably $10-12, something like that.
So you
like
basically
it was
had a deposit.
the cost of the tape, at least.
Is that how expensive tapes were?
They were. In fact, one of the things that was revolutionary in the world of VHS was Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, because you could buy that on VHS for like $20 at the time, and that was a steal. I mean, that was an unheard of price at the time.
Why did they knock? Do you know why?
Either mass production or there might have been a philosophy that if we make these things cheaper, we can sell a lot more of them. And cost of production goes down the more you make. Yeah,
just like anything, the inception of it tends to be like someone was just telling me you can get a sound bar for $40 today, and it was $150 2 years ago.
But the VHS machines and tapes were super expensive back then.
Well, and that has been an interesting paradigm shift with that kind of analog stuff. Is it's less expensive to make a CD, which I know kids these days don't even know what the hell that is, but tapes were less, and tapes were more expensive to make, but because no one wanted them, you could get a tape for $5.
Right.
Now the hipsters of our generation are bringing back vinyl, and I don't know, I doubt
I've got a stack of vinyl.
Do you?
I mean, I'll put it this way, I still have a stack of vinyl. Yeah. No, I mean, VHS it's just a little bit of a flawed medium, I mean, you've got it's very linear, you can't skip to different scenes. It doesn't last long. The tapes tend to wear out. In fact, even with the Betamax VHS war that was going on at the time, Betamax was the superior platform.
Quality, right?
Yeah.
It was better quality.
In fact, when my wife and I got our wedding video produced in 2002, the company that did it was actually working with Betamax at the time.
You're kidding me.
No, and they presented us with a DVD and then VHS tapes for to put on each one of the tables. But there was they were using Betamax as the probably best bang for their buck and much better than VHS.
That is actually very surprising. Although a similar war happened with laser discs and DVDs, and then ultimately Blu-rays, which
Blu-ray, and
has one.
There was the other one that was called HD DVD or something like that.
Oh, that's
the other
right.
One. Yeah,
that's right.
But
Crazy
along
town.
with that same trip, I think my mom and dad went to St. Martin, and if I remember right, I was a sophomore in high school. We also rented Scanners, which was like a sci-fi horror film. Yeah. And Body Heat with Kathleen Turner and some dude. And I forget who the dude was, but he was out kicking his coverage so far. I think it wasn't Bruce Dern, but it was somebody kind of like that. Just a guy that, and obviously if you've seen Kathleen Turner lately, she is an actor who was quite attractive and ubiquitous at that time, and just made some very Romancing the Stone,
right?
The action film. So yeah, if seeing her in films like this was quite
arousing.
They were all over the place. I mean, they were. She was just in everything for a short period of time.
Yes.
So yeah, that was my first porn experience, but it was the kind of thing that I was like, okay, now you're watching it with your buddies, and you're
What
just
are you
like,
gonna do about it?
yeah, everybody's just sitting there like, arms crossed, sitting on the couch, and then it's over, and you're like, oh, that was weird.
God, yeah, I think boys have it rough, especially too. But
Yeah.
and girls can just like giggle at something too. I'm from the porn capital of the world, Chatsworth,
Say it isn't so.
where the salad is. So I never ever rented anything because I was just like I had just enough internet where that wasn't an option.
There's a tossed salad joke in here, folks. I'll just leave it there for you guys to figure out.
Hey, everyone likes my salad, okay? That's what I'll say about that. That is so true. The porn actresses would walk in after we had a couple of guys you may recognize from the early 2000s. It was definitely the place to go for families and porn stars alike at this restaurant, which is called the Country Deli. I'm not ashamed. Go have a great time.
Go have a Jess salad.
It's delicious. But I was given DVDs by some of these guys. Like, hey, you want these? Like, it was never a request.
Really?
But yeah. Because like, I also am a man of the people. I'm gonna make friends with everybody.
Yeah.
I Smokey Robinson came in there. I was chill with him, and like I could talk. Sinbad was like my BFF, and then I talked to the porn people because they're just people, and the dudes would
people.
Yeah, they gave me all sorts of stuff, and not STIs, but physical. I don't know if John Champion's going to even let this episode go to air.
They gave you some swag. They gave you some
memories,
some gift bags, some memories.
That's exactly right. So I never had to rent a porno, but I was gifted pornos. But I'm from the era of Skinomax, where you'd have to wait till your parents go to sleep, and they didn't my dad never believed in not talking about sex, or if a sex scene was on while he was watching something, he never get the kids out of here. He never wanted a stigma around things. But I was always channel surfing for the Skinomax scenes.
I mean, if you were into Shannon Tweed, who was
what is that?
Gene Simmons' wife back in the day. She was in I think every Cinemax film.
You're kidding me.
No. And it was, Cinemax was what? I think you'd describe that as softcore at best.
It is softcore. Right? That is softcore at best. So
yeah, she was sort of the queen of softcore, if I remember right.
Good for her.
My apologies to Shannon Tweed if I'm misremembering that, but
good for her.
But I'm not. Yeah, it's fantastic. Look at that. What a great name recognition, income earner. It's everybody's got to work, and she was doing that a long time ago. And you know what? That made Cinemax, and that made that subscription and cable TV, and kind of turned into the streaming services that we have now. So
right,
Shannon Tweed, no HBO Max. I'm sorry.
Max. There you go. That's as plain as simple as that. I'm one of those people that really hates that the app is called Max and not HBO. But
did you see what Peacock did when the day Max launched?
No.
They tweeted, "Don't worry, folks. We're not gonna drop the first half of our name." Brilliant.
That's good advertising.
That was good. Bravo, good marketing people.
Advertising. I like that. I do want to ask you though, is it wrong that I still want the coloring pages at the restaurant?
No, I get those all the time. One of the funnest memories that I have of my kids was normally I was working Monday through Thursday, and I would get home and I would be the guy that got to pick up the kids from school on Friday.
Oh,
so it was like a special thing. And we would go to Steak and Shake, a little Midwestern steak and shake place. And they had these, they had the activity books, they had coloring, they had crayons, they had hats, and they had these little cars that you could build out of cardboard, kind of pre-made origami, if you will. And it was so much fun. And that was in every
adorable.
Yeah. And we had a great time with those. We really did. So I like the activity books. And I'm a little bit, I'm challenged keeping my attention. I think that's why, I like the profession that I'm at, because there's information coming at me at, 400 miles an hour from different directions, and it kind of feeds me well.
That's interesting, Mike.
But if I'm in a position where just like nothing's happening, I've got to sort of make things happen. And that's just kind of a very pilot thing to have to muddle your way through.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I really do focus better when I'm doodling or something else is going on a second screen. Like, there are some people that can't do that, but this really does make a lot of sense when you see 7,000 buttons in front of you at your desk. You're stimulated. That makes a lot of sense, and I'm not talking about pornos.
I'm not either. Hey, did you notice the Johnny's ID?
I know they made him look like a pedophile.
Oh God!
No, I'm kidding.
We are so leaving that in, because the picture that it was of the guy that looked like he was 40 was a friend of the show that we interviewed, Doug Drexler.
I didn't realize that. Could we leave that in?
That's up to you. You control the mouse when we edit this.
Because what I immediately jumped to was My Two Dads, where he's sitting at the table at Friendly's. He looks like a pedophile there.
Oh yeah, with the mustache, definitely.
Yeah. No, I didn't catch the picture. Actually, I'm not calling Doug Drexler that. We will keep this in, because I am a believer in being imperfect. I'm so sorry, Doug. I didn't realize that. That's hilarious.
And Doug is a little bit older than that. He is in incredible shape. Physical fitness has been his. So if I could be a 40-year-old in the shape Doug Drexler is in right now, I would take that and run.
Him and Danny Elfman have got this gene, or they're just like driven. And I love the Bob Ross nod. I really do.
Oh,
it's really delightful.
I did. Yeah. And what did they say? He was going to go into the room and paint a happy little bush.
I love too that the guy was like, "For you, sir, there is no limit," in so many words. It's very good.
Hey, you know what this conversation reminds me of when you mentioned up John and if we were going to do it? When we started doing Mission Log the Orville, Rod reached out to us and was like, "Hey, I really like what you guys are doing. Don't afraid to disagree. Just, don't manufacture disagreement.
Right.
And he's like, but I have a question for you. What are you guys going to do when you get to the episode of the Orville where they hit Bortus's orgy lagoon, Bortus's sex lagoon,
I forgot about this
and we're like, we're just going to talk about it. We're just going to talk about it for what it is. And there was one line in this episode that really kind of, I think, struck a nerve with me, and I think it should strike a nerve with everybody.
Okay.
And it was sort of at the beginning where, Johnny was asking Ted, as his sort of, Jiminy Cricket type figure, what it's like to watch a porno.
Okay.
And he was like, "Oh, it's great. You watch it, you do your business, you wipe yourself off, the porno's still playing, but now it's louder, and you can't shove that sock deep enough down in the bottom of the hamper," which I think was a metaphor for being ashamed of yourself, maybe.
Yes.
And he goes, "And even though you haven't left the house, you contributed to a woman's nightmare." And that, to me, is the takeaway of this episode, because because there are people who get into porn with their eyes wide open, knowing what they're getting into. It's a business. It's transactional. It's a means to an end, and they may just love their careers and what they do.
Right.
And that is fantastic. Okay. Other people are coerced, cajoled,
circumstantially unable to have a different option.
They're given, there's accounts of them given drugs, given alcohol, given a combination of the two, being threatened, being traumatized. And that is the downside. That is the dark side. And you can say that of many, 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 many industries, I'm sure. But it is, I think, particularly tied to the adult film industry.
No, like it's inextricable. The reality is, Mike, like over 50% of the women that you see aren't alive anymore in porn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I read somewhere that the life expectancy is like 30.
Yep. And that's a very safe, comfortable statistic because you don't know under which circumstance those women lost their life. But you can do the math. It is a nightmare in so many words. The real issue with sex work is the stigma around it. If there were more protections in place for the oldest profession in the world, women could have more recourse, more agency, and more power. And I think for us, especially living in a country where we're so puritanical and pretending like we don't enjoy these things or that it's dirty too, it's widely enjoyed or used for whatever terminology you want to use. Giving these people that work in this industry agency to take care of themselves is the least I think we could do as people that enjoy it.
I hope,
yeah.
And I hope as it has become wildly mainstream, like, I mean, just
available.
Available. That stigma has gone away, and thus the downside is go away because hopefully there's more transparency involved. Like that is, I think, what would be sort of the natural evolution of things. Once something comes out of the shadows and becomes more transparent, there would be less of that downside to it. But I think it is still a reality that everybody needs to recognize
or reconcile. I think that's a fair word. Like, because you are looking at something like on OnlyFans being very successful, and that in theory puts the power into a sex worker's hands as opposed to being at the behest of a producer or a company or whatever.
I'm sorry, OnlyFans?
Yeah, no, never mind. It's a small company that
I would say that is in my mind probably one of the better things to happen to the industry, because it's not being exploited for somebody else's gain necessarily. It could be used to enrich and empower the people themselves that are entertaining.
I think that's the idea. Just like anything can be taken advantage of, anything can be exploited. But I think you're right. But I guess what ends up hurting us in general is the willful ignorance that we all kind of partake in this at one point or another, and passing judgment on somebody for choosing this lifestyle, having no other option but this lifestyle, or choosing sex work. You're contributing to more harm than good. It is something that I don't even have the full amount of words to discuss, but it's hard to go, you're the problem because you voted this way, or you're the problem because you voted this way. But like learning how to take a macro view to some of this stuff in general will help us make a little bit better, healthier, harmonious choices.
And how you vote is such an important decision, but where you spend is probably a more important decision, because everybody knows where the money goes, and that's where they chase the votes and the policy and those kind of things as well.
Vote with your dollars, one of my favorite phrases on the planet. I think it's important to talk about that because they are linked. The two things are linked. And at the same time, we can joke about two kids that just found, internet porn or or whatever.
Just remember, kids, 6 seconds of porn is enough to ruin your life.
It's so true. I love the end of this episode. Narrated by the best friend of the former narrator of the other narrator of the movies, Sir Patrick Stew. We have Sir Patrick Ian telling us what sweet poor Johnny went through.
Yep. What he went through and why we should never shake hands again.
Oh, that is so true. I was told this by a Hawaiian woman years ago. She goes, we hug on the island because we have no idea where your hands are.
Ooh.
This was years ago, told to me.
So I'll tell this quick story, and my wife's going to
please.
kill me, but I don't care.
That's all right.
She had a filling come loose last week. She didn't know what it was. She thought she might have cracked a tooth. And I think it was Saturday night, and it was a holiday weekend. So I called my dentist's emergency number, and he got back to me the next day, and he said, so it was Friday night. So Saturday morning.
Some emergency number then, Mike.
Yeah. So exactly. And he was very apologetic. He was like, hey, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you. I'm out of town, but what's going on? I said, hey, we're in our way to an urgent dental care place right now. I'll let you know what's up. And he goes, hey, if you want to snap a picture and send it to me, I might be able to save you a trip. And I was like, I'm not putting my phone in her mouth. I don't know where her mouth has been.
Oh, no. Name names.
And he, big LOL emoji. And he was like, yeah, fair point. I get it. But it was just a filling came loose. They were able to clean it up, zip, but just a little, urgent dental care place.
Fantastic. Going back to last week's episode, I saw on my cat's chart that they listed him as unneutered, and I said, no, this cat's neutered. And they said, send us a picture.
Pics, or it's not neutered.
Not neutered. And I said, I took the picture and I went, this is wrong. I even sent this in the email. I feel very uncomfortable that I'm emailing this to you. Anyway, now that you've reached the wine at the bottom of the glass, Mike, how's it tasting?
Oh God, it has just gotten better and better and better. And yeah, now I'm just down to this kind of like sweet red wine at the bottom.
I mean, it's an impressive. Is that a rock or is that an ice cube?
That is one large ice cube. So,
that's very impressive ice cube.
What's nice about those, and they're used in old fashions and other drinks. And there are folks that really have it down to a science where they'll either, bring the water to a slow boil or do some other things. But as you can tell, that ice cube's kind of cloudy. There are folks that can make them just crystal clear. And the better you freeze them, the more clear it is. And what I like about the one big ice cube is that it melts slower, less surface area in the liquid, so that it waters the drink down more slowly and it stays intact longer.
Yeah, there is an intense chemistry to ice. Like, it should be frozen from the bottom up, but when it's in the freezer, it only freezes all the way around. So that also contributes to the cloudiness as well. But hey, we're doing the best we can as casual whiskey drinkers, Mike.
Yeah, I'm not a whiskey expert. I'm just taking this bottle of Bear Fight whiskey, having some fun with it, playing around, and trying some different things.
You're a whiskey savant, I think.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I'm just a guy just trying to muddle through and having fun conversation with my friend.
This is, we're pretty lucky, Mike, when you say that. See, maybe it's just the booze talking, but I'm having a great time talking about Ted with you. We really do enjoy doing this. We want to hear from you. What are you enjoying about the show so far? What are you enjoying about our show? What did you like about Ejectile Dysfunction? There's a lot we can share. And have you ordered a bottle of Bear Fight whiskey for yourself yet or not? Because if you haven't, what are you doing? Drink with us. And
don't forget to use the code BF20 to get $20 off of shipping.
So next week, we welcome back Georgia Wiggum to talk
right.
about bicycles,
subways,
which there is no subway, and
subways, bicycles, and automobiles. And Georgia Wiggum, just such a delight. She was on our show to chat with us already, and just what a wonderful actor, what a wonderful person,
what a wonderful
guest.
Life, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, so join us for that next week. Remember, you can get this show anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell so that you know when a new episode drops. There's so much wonderful content happening over at Roddenberry Podcast. So make sure you're tapped in. And Mike, until next time.
Cheers, Jess.
Cheers. Talking Ted is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment. Executive producer Rod Roddenberry and John Champion. Our website and your opportunity to comment and connect with us is podcast.roddenberry.com. This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.